Hello everyone, this is the first build video for King Gidrah, or King Gidrah, depending on who you are, which movie you watched. That's about all I can say about that. I've done all the minor assembly work. In other words, I got all the piece halves, the halves together of the pieces. Discovering a few things, okay? Kit is not... No English in these directions, none whatsoever. I don't think the model was made for the American market, but that's fine. Turns out I think there's some options, and we'll get into that in a minute. This kit went together fairly well so far, with the exception of his body. This body only has 2 registry pins on the whole thing, and they're tiny, tiny registry pins. And I don't know whether I did it or it's just this is a really old kit because it was made in 1984. I finally found the date on the kit, 1984. But one of the pins was bad on here. So it took me 4 or 5 minutes to get this aligned properly with a clamp before I would glue it. And then I went ahead and glued it. Okay, I mean, the main body looks really goofy to me. I mean, really. But I could see some uses for that in the sci-fi model. It looks like what it brings to mind is Watchmen in the L ship for some reason. Okay, but there's the main body. Now let's talk here. I've got all the pieces laid out, so let me move the camera a little bit so you guys see all the pieces I've put together. Okay, we got our 3 heads, and we got the 3 neck pieces that go on the main body. 2 of them have registry keys, so you get them on there correctly. Okay, they are somewhat posable. I can bend them however I want. The 3rd one glues on flat. No registry key. Okay. From here, I've got 4 neck pieces for 3 heads. And the only thing I can think of is that's going to allow me to pose these heads a little bit. Okay. So I don't have them all just sticking straight up in the air. Alright? I think that's in part because if I want, it will allow me to bend one head over while one head goes up. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, they're not going to hold still. Not without tape. But it allows me to bend one head over while one head goes up. So I can do some posing of the heads. And that's why I think I've got the extra neck. Okay, I can't tell. I can't read the directions. They don't say for sure, but that's what that looks like. The heads are the other bad spot on this model. The mouth cavity right here, the seam is really bad on that mouth cavity. Let me zoom this in. Yeah, the seam running right along here, right along there, is really, really bad. So I plan on putting some Aves in there and kind of channeling, carving some mouth bits in there or something. The bottom part of the mouth I don't have here. I don't plan to put it on anytime soon. Here's the bottom part of the mouth. I kind of want to rib it like that. Rib the top of the mouth like that so they match. Not that I really think anyone's going to notice, because you're going to have to get right up on top of this model to notice that, because these heads aren't real big. I haven't put the horns on the head yet either, because I want to get the seam fixed before I put the detail pieces on this head together. So I want to fix all the seams on all these before I put the pieces together. Now, here's some other bad parts about this kit. These legs. Okay? The mold detail does not go straight up to the seam like I'd originally thought. And that's a good thing, because that will allow me to build the detail up around the seam the way I want it, instead of trying to replicate the detail. And it gets soft on both ends. Okay? Looking at the directions, I think it was designed that way on purpose. And I'm not sure how these legs go on here. The thing seems to feel like they go like that. Okay? But I'm not sure, because they will fit on this other side just fine too. And that doesn't make too much sense to me, because that's the head, and I don't think the legs go that way. I think the legs go that way. Alright? I haven't touched the wings yet. No need to touch the wings. Here's the other part. The tail up here. I have two major tail pieces, which, again, lock into the body. And I can decide which way I put those tails by twisting them before I glue it in. Then I've got 4 sets of secondary connectors. I've got one straight and one crooked. Okay? So I can pose the tail around a little bit if I want and get different sorts of angles on it. Alright? And I think that is because, and here's why I think we've got more than one tail piece. The directions show you can build him in flying mode or standing mode. You can go one or the other. And I think that's why we got different tail pieces. So I can have him doing different things if I want. So far, this kit has not been too bad to put together. Again, the only real troublesome spot has been the main body so far. I haven't started on the seams yet, and let's go ahead and talk about those seams real quick because they are going to be major trouble on the necks anyhow. The rest of this I don't think is going to be major trouble, just on these neck pieces. Okay? And tell me that is not a goofy looking thing right there. Now, so I don't ramble too much longer, here's why I think the neck pieces are going to be bad. The seam on the neck piece runs right along where these spines are. Now, fortunately, Bandai, when they designed the kit, did the spines on the neck on one of the pieces only, and the other piece didn't have the spine. So the spines overlap the seam. So I only have to worry about detailing that seam out and smoothing it between the spines. And there's no detail really there, so I just kind of have to sand that flush and hide that seam. So that might be okay. While on the tail, no such luck. You look at that tail piece, there's a seam running right along it. And again, it goes soft along there so that I can put my own detail in. I also have a clay sculpting tool that's the exact same size as this diamond pattern. So that might actually go pretty well if I can only find some putty or something that sits down on the model correctly. That's one of the problems I was having with the Godzilla model, is I was going to use Aves to fill all these seams, but Aves wasn't sticking to the plastic until it was damn near cured. And it made it really hard to work with. We'll detail that in a little bit. For now, I'm going to stop the video. I need to go wash this guy. Get all the mold release off of it, because I think that might be part of my problem with the Aves. I went and washed Godzilla today so I can work on the seams a little bit once I'm done with this. So there's your update on King Gidrah, or King Gidrah. Next time you see it, I will be working on the seams and showing you guys what I did to get the seams hidden. So, be back in a while.